It's the next saw going under the knife. It appears to have never been gas oiled. Tanks are really dry. It is very dusty. I started to wipe it off, wipe the handle off, but it all looked like that. Nice and dusty. I put a couple marks on it, see showed of dust. It's even got some cobwebs on it. Brand new with screws. Build date 5/24. I just think this is probably the dirtiest. Let me get my phone right. The dirtiest brand new saw I've ever worked on. Just had to show it, guys. It don't matter to me. It sure looks to me like it's just been sitting around. It is another saw that got sent here back poorly. Spikes are bent. Even fighting me on the bar stud. No note, no name, no phone number, no check, no nothing. Was lucky enough to, he called me day before yesterday, I think, a couple days ago, something like that, and asked me about it. And the other thing is, his name is on the shipping label. That helps. So let's add something to go off from. And I do believe he's got a check in the mail for me, so if I remember right. We're going to get it done anyway. I do know what to do to this one. And we'll get at her. Get it apart, get ready to set up and lathe. And just start the whole thing over again with the next one, you know. I do a lot of 661s. It is by far the saw that I do the most. I think you guys can tell that with all my test cut saws out there that I do. That I do a lot of 661s, and I don't even post all the videos of them because I clearly do so many of them. So and this one's got screws, so it's got a little bit, you know, it's got a different coil in it. Carburetor, standard carburetor, different coil. Some guys prefer them. It makes no difference to me. I don't. I like the M-tronic saws better. I do know they cause some grief to some people once in a while. You know, they can act up and act funny and do dumb things and create all kinds of problems, but you know, if everything is right, I don't have to worry about how they're going to tune it. And you know, if they're going to get it lean and score it and try to blame me for stuff or whatever, you know, I don't have to worry about that anymore with M-tronic saws. So I kind of like them in that aspect. The other thing is that, you know, it's computer controlled, And get out of there. It's always right. The tune is always right. Where with a carbureted saw, that's not the case. It's you turn that screw and adjust that carburetor for a very specific RPM. That's what you tuned it to, and that's where it's going to run its best. And if you dog it down a little bit, or you know, don't load it as much, and then it's really out of tune. It ain't by much, but a little bit. And with that aspect of it, the auto tune saws are going to be a little bit better, a little bit faster. It's about impossible to have one tuned perfect and get a faster cut time out of it. Ignition timing is doing its thing, and you know, these ain't the same way, so anything that's tuning itself is going to be slightly better, you know. Same with the car, difference between a, you know, even the old throttle body, fuel injected, whatever, is always going to be tuned better. ECM is going to do its thing, you know. I love that lock tape. You know, I've seen these shown before where, let me flip this over. The guy can't, that clutch drum down there, flip the brake and flip it over this way, and guys sat here and they fight and they fight and they fight and they can't figure out why this clip won't come out of there. That drum drops down out of the way, the brake released, and that clip is not hard to get out of there at all. Now if the brake is released and the clutch is down and everything is where it's supposed to be, and you can't get that clip out of there, 9 times out of 10 it's got a big wad of grass wrapped up around here. Piece of string. Seen that, and then that clip is very difficult to get out. 9 times out of 10 it's because the guy's got the brake on and the drum is up instead of down. It's got enough free play in it, you know, self-aligns. Now we're going to run into the epoxy. Even more, there's plenty in that one. There's plenty in that one. I don't fight them, but I do break them loose. Even them got epoxy in them. I hate using power tools. So easy to mess things up, especially putting them together. Terrible idea. More Loctite. tight, right? They're tight. You don't need Loctite, they just need to be tight. Nice factory spec tight. Tight. No, a whole bunch of these wrenches. Twist the ends right off. Right? I got a bunch of them. Don't know what I'm going to do with them, but someday I'll find a use for them. Still a good piece of steel in there, you know. Good hard stuff. With a handle on it. Find some kind of use for it. They used to warranty them, they won't warranty them anymore. I probably had a dozen of them warranted over the years, and they don't warranty them anymore. There it is. Now again, this saw has been ran. It's got brown, oily, brown residue on it. I would assume whatever oil they're using in Germany, I would assume it's probably some kind of steel oil or something that they're using that's brown. Top ring goes on the top nail. Piston pin on the exhaust port. Still got them guys saying ain't none over there. Bottom ring goes on the bottom nail. A little oil residue floating around. Get rid of that. I always check the case-half gasket. And you'd be amazed on how many times, nearly every saw, that factory really doesn't cut them quite low enough. And they will hold you up. Just a little bit. Razor blade and make sure there's nothing there. Doesn't take much to throw that cylinder kind of out of square, you know. That one feels good. This one's giving me fits over here. I can still feel this one. Yes, sir. Some guys remove this deflector, and I have saws out there running without them. I got saws, most of the saws I all have them in there, but I do have a couple out there that ran a long time now without it in there. Somehow people got the idea that this helps push the incoming air fuel charge up the transfer. Well, the transfer is all the way over here in the bottom of the case, and this thing's up high in the middle of the intake port. It's not even possible. They ain't even close to one another. What this does is it splashes part of the fresh fuel charge up under the bottom of the piston to help cool it. That's the attempt. That's why it's in there. I think it does work some, you know. Non-straddle motor, four port motor, bottom fed, front exhaust port, you know, front side of the cylinder, bottom fed, not in the sides, in the front. Curves that air around and pushes it right straight back towards the intake across top of the piston. Best design in the world for scavenging reasons. 4-port motor will always beat a 2-port motor. I do not understand why Husky builds their 5 series saws, most of them, as 2-port motors. This just doesn't make sense to me. It scavenges so much nicer, so much better as a 4-port. Each their own, I guess. That's pretty much all I do here. I put my alignment or my dowel pins in here that I always put in. That way I don't have to be screwing screws in and out over and over. For checking my durations and stuff, I can just set it on there. It's more than close enough. Well, get something in there, little hole. There it goes. Must have been. Couldn't see it. Alright. Over to the lathe with this. And cut the base. We'll be moving on to the next one. Get the cylinder put in the lathe. Get set up. I cut a little groove in there. A long ways from this bolt hole to this bolt hole on the front fed ones, and they tend to leak a little bit right in here. I'd only have to put a little groove right in here, fix the problem of them leaking here, but I just, you know, turn it, and it just helps hold a little sealant in there to, you know, stop that from leaking. Works pretty good. I don't do it on all the cylinders. Not all of them have enough room to do it, but 661s get it. So we're moving on to the next one.